This is After the Gridiron, podcast featuring interviews with retired football players. If you're a fan of After the Gridiron, make sure you subscribe to the show to ensure that you won't miss an episode. Today's episode is sponsored by Symphonies. Symphonies is an online store that provides custom clothing and accessories. They have a number of quality products available at affordable prices. They offer custom, unique, funny, and inspirational products that you won't find anywhere else. So go to www.symphonies.ca to shop for your next purchase. And as a special offer for our listeners, enter promo code GRIDIRON to get 15% off your purchase. So there's no excuse not to check it out. Again, that's www.symphonies.ca. Symphonies. Great products, great prices. All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of After the Gridiron. I am your host, Lyle Green, and today we have another great guest. We have Rick Mirer. So Rick played 12 years in the NFL, so had a nice long career in the NFL, starting out with the Seattle Seahawks. He's a first-round pick of the Seahawks, second overall in the 93 draft. He went to University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, and had a great career there as well. Won the 92 Sugar Bowl and also won the 93 Cotton Bowl while he was there, and he had some great years there at Notre Dame. And is also inducted into the Indiana Football Hall of Fame in 2008. And now, after football, he's part owner of Mirer Wine Company, and you can find that information on that on their website, which is mirerwine.com. And he also has the Mirer Family Foundation, where they do a lot of great things for kids as well. So, Rick, thank you for coming on, and welcome to the show.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on. So I usually start off by asking my guests to say something about themselves that most people don't know. So what would that be for you? What's something about you that most people don't know about you?
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
Special talents or anything? Yeah.
I don't know. That's an interesting question. There's many secrets, but I'm highly competitive and I hate losing, but I think people already know that.
Yeah, that's all right. There's no right or wrong answer for that one. All right, so we can start off by going back to when you started football and just ask you when did football start for you?
Well, I'm always a football fan, and as a little bitty kid, I did the punt, pass, and kick, and from those years all the way through high school and stuff. I grew up in a small community in northern Indiana, and my dad was the coach prior to my high school years. So, he ran the football camps, and I just, we played all the sports back then, but we did a lot of football in the fall and pickup games. And I didn't play tackle, though, until 7th grade. We didn't have the Pop Warner programs and junior football leagues and stuff like they do now. So, contact didn't start for me until 7th grade, but I had a long run and got to play a bunch of years, and it started off as like a backyard game, and it went all the way to the end.
Nice. And did your dad kind of lean you towards football, or is that something you just kind of gravitated to since he was already coaching?
He had really good teams. It was fun to be a part of the energy. Friday nights and a lot of parts of the country are exciting. That playing under the lights. I think, we played baseball and basketball and everything else too, but, the biggest crowds were the Friday night football games. So it was easy to like that. And, I was kind of a gym rat, as a little kid, being around, helping out, being at practice 2 days and stuff like that. And this summer when I didn't have school, that's just kind of where I got dropped off. And, I enjoyed it, and I learned a lot kind of by accident and just being around the older guys. And, I was never intimidated once I got to high school and the kids were a few years older. It was sort of like I'd been around that my whole life. So, my dad did not have to push me. I really liked baseball. I think he was equal with football, baseball as well. So, when it was football season, though, it was all about football.
Oh yeah. So did he coach you in while you were in high school? Did he coach your high school?
He got out when I was coming in. I think he chose,
Oh, okay.
first of all, a chance, a different opportunity business-wise, but also wisely, coaching your son, who's probably the quarterback, is somewhat difficult, and I'm thankful, I have been ever since that he made that choice, and it worked out better, I think, for everybody, and we took a little bit of the pressure off, and it was just, I could, play in the system that he created around the coaches that used to coach for him, and the father-son thing was out of the way, so it was great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to not have that added pressure when you're playing and just be able to go out there and play and do your thing out there on the field.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so you obviously did well, and he obviously coached you up well, whether he was head coach or not, but he obviously did well and was recruited pretty heavily, I'm guessing, and ended up choosing Notre Dame. So can you talk about your selection of Notre Dame and the process of picking them over other schools?
Yeah, I mean, it was quite a bit different era, compared to the social media stuff and the huddle films and all the recruiting the way it is now. There were publications and there were, magazines, I guess, that had some guys in different parts of the country and stuff. And, I felt like a Big Ten kid. I grew up surrounded by all those schools, and I visited Michigan and Indiana and had Michigan State, and had probably visited, to see a game, several of the other ones that are in the Big Ten. But Notre Dame was right in my backyard, and they were going undefeated and winning the national championship my senior year in high school when my team was doing the same thing for a state championship. So Florida State, Miami, Stanford, UCLA were on the radar, but it just so happened that the right fit at that time was Notre Dame, which was the closest place. Had really nothing to do with how close it was. It was just the chance to be a part of a program that was at the top and likely to stay there for a while under Lou Holtz's guidance. And we did our best to keep it there, my 4 years and beyond.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a pretty easy choice there with Lou Holtz and all the accolades of Notre Dame being just a powerhouse program, and as you said, at the time they're on top of the college football world, so it's probably pretty easy to choose them since they're right there in your backyard.
Oh yeah, it was tempting to talk about the places in warmer weather. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
but if you went back 5 years prior, Notre Dame probably had a losing season or 500, and it wasn't quite as attractive. But my timing was what it was, and I just had an immediate comfort with the current teammates and guys who were already there, and then the incoming guys in my class are still the closest friends I have, and guys I'll trust forever. And now my son is there as a sophomore, actually rising junior, and he's going through the same thing, kind of developing the friendships and stuff that last a lifetime.
Yeah, that's awesome that he can follow in your footsteps or even create his own path, but still going to the same school. Yeah, nice. So was there a time where you kind of thought that football is going to be something you could do professionally? Was it like a dream as a kid, or is it something that as you went along and as you can continue to play that you started to think that maybe you can make it to the next level?
That's a good question. It was a lot different. The expectations in my town, college scholarship was the top. I didn't know anybody that played the professional levels, and I didn't rule it out. That was a goal of whatever sport. I was kind of, like I said, equal baseball growing up, but with the weather the way it was, my football kind of happened first, and then once I got a chance to start as a sophomore, knowing that if I'm healthy and playing okay, I'm going to have 3 years of playing it, on NBC and when I was a New Deal at the time, and in front of that fan base and against those opponents and be in the mix, every year got a little more real. I didn't assume anything, but in my junior year, now I know guys who've been drafted, a bunch of guys, and who are a year ahead of us, and even the classes ahead of them. So it wasn't like out of the question in any way. It was just a matter of kind of where you land in that range of rounds. And then,
Yeah.
then I had the decision, whether to come back as a senior or to come out. And I wasn't in a hurry to end college, so I stayed. But fortunately, on draft day, I didn't have to wait too long. And
Yeah, exactly.
You just kind of go. You're kind of on autopilot at that point, and they tell you where to be and when to be there. And I did that for 12 years until I had enough.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, quick question. So when you're at Notre Dame, did you play baseball there too, as well?
No, I was I hadn't decided, but with the chance to be the starter as a sophomore, that spring practice time was very important. So I couldn't really afford to miss anything. And unfortunately, like I knew, the weather is what it is in February and March. So the baseball guys are on the road and they're playing in Florida and Texas and stuff. So I just couldn't do both. Guys did. I mean, there's other guys that did, but it wasn't really the starting quarterback ever at my place. So, I miss baseball. I still do. It's, it's one of those things that was just kind of abrupt end to it. But, sports end for everybody at some point. And at least I had the other one, and I was able to kind of continue down that path for a while.
Yeah, exactly. Quick tangent though. So what do you think of Kyler Murray and his doing the both sports and trying to make it to football?
It's pretty amazing. I never saw him play much. I saw zero baseball, but I can respect a guy picked as high as he was. He's picked there for a reason. And I saw some football, and the size stuff is clearly a big topic, but he's an amazing, effective guy that gets it done in an exciting way. And I like his chances. I think he made a good decision, and we'll see. Time will tell. But baseball, it's a tough road to get all the way through the system, and clearly he's going to get to start games sooner than later in football. And I can see him being a problem for defenses. I hope he stays healthy and makes it exciting, because those guys are, guys like him that have multiple ways to affect you. They're exciting to watch, and they can light up the scoreboard pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about your draft day, and you mentioned it a little bit and talk about it a little bit, but go into how that went and all that was involved. And I know you're the second pick, so like you said, you didn't have to wait too long. But can you talk a little bit about how all that went, how all that came together?
At the combine, I think probably about that time it was pretty widely recognized that Drew and I were going to be first and second. Both those teams, Patriots and Seahawks, were going to take the two quarterbacks. We just didn't know the order. So I didn't feel like going to New York for draft day. I wanted to be with my friends and family, and so I'm watching on TV like everybody else. No, it wasn't like you didn't have to do it. It wasn't. It didn't feel right for me. I just felt like being around the people that I was closest to, and I'm glad I did it that way. I mean, today there's probably a lot more pressure to go, and everybody attends, and it's become a major event. But
now,
to me, all that mattered was the result of where am I going? Where's the plane going tomorrow? And it was exciting. We literally didn't know until the minute they said Drew's name. I mean, he'd tell you the same thing. We didn't know.
No.
So it was a full process. I think there's a lot of film, and there was a lot of stuff. We had our pro days and stuff like that. So the combine stuff meant less. There wasn't a lot of mystery about, size and strength, stuff like that. So, it's just a matter of how's it going to fit when you get to the other place, and what's the staff like, and what's the supporting cast like. And both of us go to 2 and 14 teams. So it was uphill battle. I'd been at a place where you expect to win every game, and immediately you're in a place that's just hoping to win 4 or 5, just to make progress. So it was a different mentality, and a bigger town, but like smaller media coverage than what I'd seen in college. So I knew all that and accepted all that, and just kind of had to take it as it came, and it's became a job, and had responsibilities, and really kind of moved everything to Seattle, and became a resident and dove right in.
Yeah. So talk about the transition from college to the pros and what that was like for you, and kind of your first day and first few days, and what you expected, and if it was different than what you expected as you headed to Seattle.
It's a whirlwind, just kind of getting, 100 new names, not just your teammates, but there's people all over the building, and media obligations and writers, and all that kind of attention. So no one's expecting anybody to figure it out immediately, but it's just a lot of new stuff, and
Yeah.
Living arrangements, your schedule, everything. So, but the priority was football, and it was getting into the playbook and understanding what we're trying to do and understanding who you're working with. And the speed of the game didn't blow me away. It wasn't. I mean, it's obviously bigger and better across the board, but we played in big, loud stadiums and against national championship type caliber teams. So there wasn't a major adjustment with how big and fast everybody was. There just weren't any weak links. Everybody was big and fast. So I felt lucky there. I mean, when you kind of come through a big program and play the best, you kind of seen it. But there's definitely a different vibe. I'm taking snaps from a guy who's got a daughter in college. It's like there's guys that could be 15, 20 years older, and it was kind of amazing how that feels. But as the quarterback and the guy that's going to play, I mean, the team accepted and was helping me every way they could, and we made some improvements, but it just wasn't enough to keep the coach there forever. But it was an experience that I learned a lot from.
Yeah, that's great. So you're able to, like I said at the beginning, play 12 years. You had a nice long career, and I'm not sure. I don't think you won a Super Bowl. Did you win a Super Bowl title?
No, the first year I was at the Raiders, we played Tampa and got beat in San Diego. But it was a thrill to be a part of that and have that playoff run, and that was my 10th year. So I remember at the end of that day, or that week, I'm like, man, that's why you stick it out in some of the
stick around for that long.
Some of the tough games and tough seasons and stuff, because it's amazing to see how those two teams get treated at the end, and it's even more so now. But yeah, that was as close as I got, and it was good to get a taste of that and to see what that feels like.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to be part of the big game and experience that. Must have been a thrill for sure.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I'm just wanted to ask about near the end of your career. Was there a time, or is there a season where you kind of started thinking about life after football and what you want to do after football? Is there a special moment, or is it just kind of?
Not really. You kind of prepare yourself. It's going to end. I had other interests. There were things I was. I had kids. First one was born in '98, so he was around for. He might have a faint memory of the last couple of years, but family became the priority and like the new thing, and it's exciting, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my time. I kind of decided I didn't want to coach, even though I think I'd have been a really good coach. I was able to coach like youth football and with my boys and stuff, just to kind of be able to kind of guide them and at those young ages through the ways you're supposed to do things. But so the natural thing would be go on and coach quarterbacks or whatever and see what that does. But it just the time commitment was what I didn't want.
It's pretty big.
So I was pretty unsure. I knew I was, when I was done, I knew I was done, and I was not tired, but I was excited about changing the routine, and I felt like I didn't want to bounce around to another team. I had seven seemed like plenty. So what I was going to do, I was unsure of, but I felt like I've got a Notre Dame degree and a lot of people in my network that I could kind of rely on to, when the time was right, to find something to other than being a dad, find something else to do.
Yeah. And what did you get your degree in at Notre Dame?
Marketing.
Market. Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah. So
So I'm
out
guessing,
of
yeah,
pure coincidence, I wind up working on some stuff that's basically a marketing exercise.
yeah, exactly. No kidding. So yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about yeah, what you're doing now with Mirer Wine, the Mirer Wine Company. How did that come about? What was your the
Well,
genesis of that?
yeah, I did 2 years in San Francisco with the Niners, and then following 2 years with the Raiders. So I had four back-to-back seasons in the Bay Area, and with the Raiders, we had training camp right in Napa. And I
Okay.
hadn't really been to Napa. We were living in San Diego. I felt kind of settled in California. Had been learning about wine, kind of paying attention. I knew some restaurant friends and people. My wife's a great cook, so we always had nice food, and I wanted to understand wine and be able to kind of talk it. So after a few years, looking back at the time I had in Napa and how interesting that felt, an opportunity came along to start a small brand, keep it, conservative, small, do it our way, not really take over my life. And I didn't need to be a farmer. I didn't need to, live in Napa to do, what I was, eventually going to do here.
Yeah.
Now I blink my eyes and 10 years have gone by, but,
Yeah.
um, essentially we created a brand. Um, we buy fruit from the growers. We go through the entire process, um, from pick all the way to bottling, and then it's on to getting it to the market, and whether it's from our website and our followers and our mailing list kind of participants, or through distribution like every other brand you see on the shelf. They all require your attention, and that's what I focus on. And some of the decisions, what we make and why we make it and what it looks like. I mean, that stuff's fun.
Yeah.
But it's really all about sales and about getting it in front of the right people and finding people like how I was as a buyer. They were curious about different things and excited to see stuff they hadn't seen before. Those are the types of people that we really have success with because they're open-minded, and it's not, the same thing they see every day. It's kind of an interesting new thing. And even though it's been 10 years, it's still new to a lot of people.
Yeah. And so how involved do you have to be? Like, do you have to like know all the intricacies of the grapes and all that? Do you do all that, or are you just kind of like to oversee? I
Well,
know you
there's a
mentioned
lot
you
of
do it
decisions
too.
to make along the way with the styles of the wines and stuff. We've got a winemaker, Kirk Vengi, who's one of the best in Napa, and he's got great relationships, great contacts, a great, keen winemaking style. We he makes wine for some other people, and no two wines are the same, but we've made what makes sense for us. And the name is Mirer because the original two vineyards we were getting Cabernet from literally mirrored each other across St. Helena in sort of the middle of Napa Valley. So
Yeah.
it's a play on our name. It's more about the lay of the land and, mirroring the highest quality of things, in Napa and even Sonoma. Now we do some stuff in Sonoma with Chardonnay, but, no, it's, yeah, I'm not the winemaker, and I'm not, the chemistry guy, but I've learned a ton about all the nuances from, the types of grapes, when you pick, the barrels you use, the age of everything, the blending. There's a lot of different things that go into it. So it's been
Yeah.
an educational experience, which is what I was interested in, and it really never stops. There's something to learn every day.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, there must be so much to learn and so much to go through, and yeah, a lot of different intricacies, as you mentioned, involved
Yep.
in it. So yeah. So your draft counterpart is also in the wine business. Do you guys talk about wine stuff together, or do you guys
Oh
discuss things at
yeah,
all?
we
Yeah.
we go back and forth all the time. I mean, we almost did something together. It just would have been too complicated. But we wound up with our own projects. Washington for him made a ton of sense because he grew up right there, and California for me was the right fit because it's where I'm at. And now we just have more wines between us, and we're both,
exactly.
big fans of other wines, and it's fun to discover things. And, you meet a lot of characters at some of these events and things that we've both been doing now for almost 10 years. But, we compare notes. I mean, it's competitive also, we're rooting for each other big time, but, if it were a competition or something like that, we each would want to have our wine win. And that'll never go away.
Yeah, exactly. So are there like wine competitions? Are there like international like lists of the best wines?
Basically it's some media attention or some scores from the critics. And you could argue positive and negative parts of all that. But the reality is that, if you're on, the Wine Spectator, people see it. And so competitively, it's kind of nice to, get in front of people. For whatever reason, I'll do a lot of Notre Dame things because that seems to come up a lot. But, Napa is very, very complicated. There's so many brands. It's kind of hard to stand out as a small, tiny, I guess you can say, company or brand. But it's, we get included in a lot of fun things and great events and a ton of charity things and fundraisers for a lot of different causes, and it's fulfilling to be able to contribute that way too. I mean, I think you can volunteer time, you can write a check, or you can be a part of a bigger way of raising money and kind of cover it all. And I think most everybody in this business is doing all those things, and so it's a kind of a nonstop marketing exercise, and you got to pick and choose what you want to be a part of.
Yeah. I'm guessing you get to use that marketing degree quite a bit in what you're doing now. So how many different like wine companies are there in Napa Valley? I know you mentioned there's a lot. Is it?
Oh gosh, there's thousands. Yeah, there's
thousands.
Lots.
Oh wow.
Yeah, if you add up all the different, sub kind of brands and the varietals. I mean, we're one company, but we have 4 wines, and we're probably going to get to 5. So, it gets pretty cluttered. But if you have good wine, you're in good shape, because in the end, it's once people open it, are they satisfied and happy with it? Yeah. We get a great response all the time, so we're proud of that.
Nice. Yeah, my sister-in-law is the wine person in the family, so she would have lots of questions for you. But
yeah.
So is it where is it available? Is it available just in the States? Is it international? I'm up in Canada, so is it available up here as well?
That's a little tricky. We that comes up once in a while, but we haven't really done that for our website. And there's so many laws and restrictions and stuff, even just from state to state. But mirerwine.com has all the information and basically a shopping cart, and we ship almost everywhere. But as far as exporting and getting out of the country, we're not really that interested in it or big enough to participate that way. But who knows? Down the road, there could be something that comes up. Anything's possible, but that's kind of why it's exciting. Stuff comes up all the time. We have to kind of weed through it and decide what we want to do or pass. And we'll see.
Well, yeah. Well, hopefully, at some point, you guys will be able to come up here to Canada and have us Canadians try it out as well.
Well, I think everybody drinks beer in Canada, right?
There's the big beer group, but there's also some wine. There's also some wine people as well.
Oh, I know. I'm kidding. There's wine everywhere. I mean, it's produced all over. It's consumed all over. It's fascinating. Every continent's got good wine, and it's if you go to the stores now with the craft beers and all the different spirits and stuff, I mean, it's overwhelming how many brands are staring at you on the shelf.
Yeah, there's a lot of selection for sure. All right, so before we go, I just wanted to talk about your foundation a bit, the Mirer Family Foundation. Can you talk about how that got started and the things that you guys are doing with that?
Yeah, well, we decided this is probably the thing I've worked on. Well, it is the thing I've worked on the longest because it started way back in college. But we felt like giving back to Notre Dame after leaving and feeling privileged to have been there, and wanted to create a scholarship for kids growing up in northern Indiana, where my wife and I are from. And so, for 22 years, I think now, we've had kids go through with getting partial scholarships from the gift we gave way back when. And it's just amazing to hear from those guys, get a note, thank you. It changed their path or gave them an opportunity to go to Notre Dame. And so that was, once we started seeing those, it's like, man, there's so many ways we can help. And generally it's been kids, health, hospitals, a lot of different causes that we're fortunate to not have in our house or having going on, but, education, a lot of school programs, sports teams, churches, retreats, a lot of different things that affect kids in a positive way that we can kind of play our role and play our part in helping. And whether that's contributing some wine for some auction, or we use some business from the wine sales to help support our foundation, which helps support, kids all over the place, but mostly northern Indiana and a lot in northern and southern California, and then things come up all over the place, and we have a way to try to help who we can when we can. And it's just been a really fulfilling thing. And I don't spend more time on wine stuff, but it's kind of gotten close.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great where you have something that's you feel fulfilled with, where you're giving back and helping others. It's it's a great feeling when you can accomplish something like that and know that you're doing some good for other people as well.
Right. Correct.
Yeah. All right, so let's finish off. I finished off with what I call the top of the mountain moment. So kind of looking back on your football journey and the things you've gone through, the highs and lows, the obstacles, the things that you've gone through. Is there a favorite story, a favorite moment, some words of wisdom for younger players? Is there?
Oh gosh,
to finish things off.
There's been a lot of both, but I mean, honestly, winning a state championship with my high school buddies was amazing. That'll never go away. My final game at Notre Dame Stadium, we beat Penn State on a 2-point conversion at instead of tying the game. We didn't have overtime back then, so we went for 2, and we were seniors, and the previous senior classes had lost their senior day game, and the euphoria on that particular day was to me the highest that I've had in football. I mean, there were NFL games that happened during the seasons, or monumental, maybe statistical plays for certain guys, but nothing's bigger to me than that snowball game against Penn State, because of the guys I was with and the place I was, and the last time playing in that building. It was just an awesome way to go out. So that was, that's the feeling I wish I could recreate at every Super Bowl, but it wasn't. It wasn't to be. But that's a pretty fun thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I can imagine especially college football, the fans and the atmosphere is just so amazing, and with the bands going and all that, that's something that I think that should be in the pros, but that's for another day.
Yeah,
but, I can just imagine. Just imagine the atmosphere at that game must have been just amazing.
That's right.
Perfect. So thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a pleasure. Been a great interview. Lots of great stories and reminiscing. And again, for those that are interested, you can please head out to his website. It's mirerwine.com. If you want to buy some high quality wine, you can just go on the website and get that information there. And if you want to support his foundation, it's the Mirer Family Foundation. Is there a website for that as well? MirerFamilyFoundation.org, and then we're on Facebook too, which is kind of the easier way. And there's also some information on the Mirer Wine website that takes you to that. To that as well. Okay, great. So I'll have all that in the show notes that people can click on as well. So Rick, it's been awesome.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
All right, man. Take care.
Thank you for
listening to After the Gridiron. If you're a fan of the show, please make sure you subscribe to the show and also leave a rating and review. By doing that, you also help to spread the word about the podcasts and assist others in finding the show so more people can enjoy this great content. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, with the links to those being found on the website. Your support is very much appreciated. Also, please visit the resources page on the website for links to our sponsors and affiliates. Your support helps to keep the show running. So go to www.atgridiron.com/resources to check them out. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you when we kick off our next episode.